Hey Kevin,
Yeah, what's up?
what's the IDE that we were using for Python last time?
Pycharm.
All right.
Yeah,
You're
I'll.
this club, right?
What's up?
You're the leader of this club, right?
Yeah, I'm the president.
Okay. This is my first time here. What should I begin with?
All right. I'll run through it. Don't worry. We're gonna
All right.
just have a small PowerPoint presentation, and then we're gonna break into groups to learn Python and Java. Do you have any other coding experience, or is you just
Um,
brand new? Which is
some
fine.
JavaScript a little bit, but
Okay.
not much with it. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Then you should probably start with just Python. Um, you just stay in this meeting. We'll have a breakout room, which I'll put the link to in the chat, so that we can. We'll get William Huang and Michael to teach Java, and I'm gonna teach Python. So that's the plan for today.
What if I want to take both?
Um, I'll record this, so if you want to check out the meeting, you should be able to do it on our website. Which, yeah. So, no problemo. Also, I'll probably have. I'm planning on having weekly meetings on Discord instead of Teams. Teams is a little unwieldy, so we'll have it on Discord, and then we'll teach Python and Java that way. So even if you want to go to one meeting today and you couldn't because you were in another one, you can check that out later, and also on the website. And also I can link some resources if you guys want to just learn on your own, which is cool too. But all right, let's see, how many people do we have? All right, looks like we have about 38 attendees. Yeah, we can get started then. Okay. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the second coding club meeting. Ooh, that cut out there. That's not good. But we will be learning Python and Java, as I just said. Welcome new members. This is the meeting agenda. We're gonna welcome new members. Check out the club website, which I've been building up, and there will be a bunch of resources there for you guys. And we're gonna have a new officer this year. This meeting, so we're gonna vote on that, and then we're gonna split into groups to learn Python and Java. All right, so if you guys don't know, we have a website. It's the cbsouthcoding.com. That's the domain. And if you guys actually just Google CB South Coding Club, so I can just show you that. If you just Google CB South Coding Club, oh, that looked, one sec, CB South Coding Club. It's like the third link down right there. And we have just a welcome page with some club news. I'm going to be adding some more stuff to this today. We have some helpful resources. The GitHub code repository, which is where we'll put all of our code so you guys can reference it in the future. We have a Discord server if you didn't know, so you can join that clicking on this link. Remind sign up. You guys probably already signed up for the Remind, but that's just there. And then I just started a YouTube channel, so we have just 2 videos so far, but we'll put all the recordings and all the tutorials that I make onto our YouTube channel, and then I'll also be on the website, so check out both that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a like. Anyways, we just have an about section. We have the constitution that we voted on last meeting, and it's right here, so you guys can check it out. Full transparency. You can download a PDF of the constitution if you want to. Check that out here. We have our meeting recordings. This is from our first meeting. It's just a YouTube video. And then there's the PowerPoint if you want to check out that PowerPoint too. And finally we have, I just filmed the Python tutorial because last time we were trying to install Pycharm, and I'm not sure how many of you guys got to it. So I just created a short tutorial of how to install Pycharm for Windows. If you guys want to know how to install Pycharm for Mac, I'm not sure how many Mac users. I think we have like a handful of them. I can create a video for that too if you guys are interested, but I suspect most of you guys are on either your home Windows computer or the school computers, which in case if you guys are on the school computers, you can use Replit to code Python, and there's a link to that right under the video also. Alright, cool. So that's just running, that's just the website. Run through the website. We're gonna have a new officer for coding club. His name's William Huang. He's a senior. He's taken comp sci principles and comp sci A. Will, you want to say hi? You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everybody. I don't know. Yeah, kind of basics everything about me. So.
Yeah. Any other interests you want to tell?
You can tell in the picture I like airplanes. So it's kind of.
Yeah, airplanes are cool.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, William has pretty extensive knowledge of Java and Python, which is really good. Those are the two languages that we're going to be teaching. So he's going to be helping out teach Java today, and also he's going to help develop some other cool projects that we'll be working on for the rest of the year. So first of all, let's vote on William. I just need we need a majority to confirm William as a general officer. So if you guys just want to raise your hands, and I'll count the votes. Right. Any objections? All right, yeah. That is a majority. So that makes William Huang a general officer of the coding club. Congratulations, Will. Thanks for the help, or we will be thanking you for the help ahead. All right, awesome. So let's see, where were we? Okay, cool. This is where we left off last time. And right now you guys can, I'll send the link to the breakout room. So William and Michael, you guys can go to the breakout room and teach Java there through NetBeans, and I will stay here and teach Python to everyone who wants to learn Python. Cool. So all right, let me send the link. Alright, great. Can you guys access that link? Should be able to, right?
Is that the link for going to the Java breakout room?
Yeah, that's the Java breakout room in the chat. Super long.
Can we go to it now?
Yeah, yep. We're gonna split up now. Alright, great. Link works. What's the coding club team code? I'm not sure what you mean by that question. And yeah, I'm recording this meeting right now. Which language is better? If you already know Python, then I would definitely go check out the Java. Those two guys know pretty extensive Java, so it'd definitely be more interesting. I'm starting from basics, so if you guys already know Python, then I would jump into the breakout room for Java. I'm starting with the super basics. I'm starting with the super basics, just starting with variables, starting with printing stuff to the console. We're gonna start with installing IDEs. If you guys weren't here last week, so if you guys do know Java, or do you already know Python, or at least the basics of Python, then you can jump into the Java.
If you already know Java, is it better to learn more Java or start a basis for Python?
Python's actually really useful right now. Super useful for data science and data analytics and also machine learning. So if you already know Java, they're gonna start from the basics also. So I would just stay in here, and then it seems like you haven't programmed with Python before, so we'll start with the basics, and you should be able to transfer over pretty easily. Sound good? Alright, cool. Let's begin. So let's see, we'll return to the link here. Has everyone installed Pycharm? I assume not, right? In that case, it's gonna take a little while to install Pycharm, so I would just open the replit up for the Python online IDE, and you can do everything there. But I'll be working in Pycharm so that for future reference, you guys can go back and check it out. But for now, it's probably not worth the effort to download Pycharm and then try to set it up. I do have a link. Obviously, I have a link in the website if you do want to check that out. It's right here. All right, excellent. Cool. So here's Pycharm. This is the IDE that we were looking at last time, and I think we just got to print hello world, right? So if you want to print anything to the console, it's really simple. Just print, and then it's a function, so you need parentheses, and then inside the function you just want to print whatever the parameter you want to print, whatever you want to. It can print variables, all kinds of variables, lists, integers, floats, lists, already said lists, sorry, strings, dictionaries, whatever you want. So in this case, I have a string hello, and when we run that, so remember in Pycharm, when you want to run something for the first time, you can just press run, right click, and then press run learn, and then as you can see down here, it prints hello to the console. So are we good with printing stuff to the console? This is the most basic thing in the world. We can do hello world, the first thing, and then once you run it for the first time with the right click, you should be able to just click up here, and as you can see, it creates a configuration for you automatically. So you can switch between files this way, or it's a lot of times it's just simpler to right click and press run. So is everyone cool with that? Printing stuff to the console. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So I'll show you guys what we're going to be working towards basically through the next few weeks. If you want to join my weekly coding sessions, we're going to be creating a really simple tic-tac-toe game. It's just okay. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see what's going on. Is Java the same as Intro to Java? I'm not sure actually. I haven't taken Intro to Java, so yeah, not sure if they can even hear me. Anyways, we'll keep on moving on. So I'll show you what we are working towards. Right, run tic-tac-toe, and then here's what we get. It's a super simple tic-tac-toe game. It's just a 2D list, and you have an input, and you can type in numbers. It's just columns. So if I wanted to put my space here, it would just be 1 and then 1, and as you can see, it puts an X there, and if now it switches to O's, and I put an O there, and obviously when you win, it tells you that you win. So really simple, but this will help us learn the basics of functions, we have lists here, we have printing stuff to the console. We even have a little bit of we have for loops, a bunch of for loops, if statements, while, and then yeah, even some like simple input stuff. So that is how we can get the basics of Python. And then once you get the basics, you can build whatever you want. The sky's the limit. You can create whatever you want, learn whatever you want, and I'm open to all kinds of ideas. Whatever you guys want to learn, I'm happy to learn with you. But right now, we're just going to go over the basics. So we have printing hello world, and if you want to store a value of any like anything basically in coding, you need a variable, right? You need to store numbers, you need to store strings, you need to store lists, which are multiple numbers put together in a single variable. Basically, if you think it's actually multiple variables that are chunked together into a single variable. If you think of like a list of, say, grocery supplies, you have all kinds of items that you have in your list, and that's exactly what a list is in Python and programming also. You can have a list of variables, you can have a list of integers, a list of floats, a list of strings. In Python, you can have a list of strings and integers, whatever you want. Python's super flexible with its variables. In Java, you would have to declare the variable type. Python, you don't have to, and I'll show you. It's really simple. Just to declare a variable, you would just do x, and this is an equal sign, but in the terminology of programming, you would say x gets 5. So in this case, x would be assigned the value of 5, and then in programming, not in algebra, but in programming, you can set x to another value, say in this case 3. X gets 5, and then it's not like a stupid algebra equation that doesn't work, obviously. This variable x is being assigned a new value of 3. So if we were to print x right now, you would get obviously 3, because x is most recently being assigned to 3. Does that make sense for everyone? Cool. You guys even hear me? Yeah? Alright.
Yeah, all good.
Alright.
Awesome.
Yes.
Alright. Awesome. Okay, so as you can see down here, it prints 3. And obviously in Python you can do like addition and stuff. So if we were to print this out, it would be, if you could guess, 10, which makes sense. 5 plus 5 is 10. You could either do like x gets, this is even this is also, if you're new to programming, this might be a little weird, but x gets x plus 5. You need to remember that this is not equals, it's gets. So in this case, the variable of x would get the previous value, which is moved down here, plus another 5. So in this case, obviously it was 10 before, we printed that out, we know that. So we take that number and we transfer, it's being transferred down here to this x. So x plus 5, 10 plus 5 is 15. So if we were to print x right now, we would get 15. So that's just some super basic variable and assigning the value of variables. Python is super cool in the fact that you can set x to 10 and then you can set x to hello, and it doesn't give you a problem. In Java, it would definitely give you a problem. So that's why Python is cooler, and that's why Python is the language of the future, and it's also super readable and it's not confusing to learn. So there you go. Also, if you want to do, say we want to make this x1, and then we want to, you probably wouldn't want to do this, but who knows, x1 plus hello, this would work also. Oh, you know what? Sorry, my bad. This wouldn't work. You would need to make this into a string first. Yeah, and this works. Yeah, so sometimes, like, yes, yeah, okay, I got it. All right, so when you add, you can't add integers to strings because that doesn't really make any sense. in Java, I believe you can. It's like concatenating. However, in Python, you want to convert the integer, in this case 10, into a string. So this is what string does. It's a built-in function, and then it just creates 10 plus hello. You get 10 hello. This is just a concatenation right there. All right, excellent. So that's variables. Let's see, what else do we need to get done? Oh, I'll just show you some cool stuff about Python. If you want to swap two variables, say A is 5 and B gets 6, and you want to swap A to B, you can do A, B gets B, A. So instead of having to create a temporary variable like C or something, or Z or whatever, Python is really easy in that you can just use the commas and assign B to A, and then this is assigning A to B. So in like one line, you can swap two variables. If you want to just check, you can print A, and it should be 6. All right, excellent. Are you guys following on? Do you have your own IDE open?
Yeah. Kevin, I have a question.
Yeah.
For like putting things in quotes, so unlike Java, you can have double quote or single quote to enclose strings.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty simple like that. Oh, I'll teach you how to comment stuff out. So in programming, say you don't want to delete this line, and you want to keep it, maybe look back on it for whatever reason, or you want to mark up your code, because marking up your code is super important, not only for the readability of other people who are going to be looking at your code, but also for your own sanity when you look at your code in a year and you have no idea what you've written. So always mark up your code. But in Python, to mark up your code is just a hashtag symbol. So for a single line comment, you just put the hashtag symbol, and then you can write whatever you want to your heart's content. And that's just basic. It's a comment. It's not going to be run by the Python compiler. If you want to comment something you've already written, just put a pi symbol. That'll comment that out. So the compiler is just not going to look at it. Obviously, we're going to have a problem because there's no A anymore. And if you want to comment entire like chunks of code, what you would do is just 3 single quotes around your code. So 3 single quotes in the beginning and 3 single quotes at the end. And you can do double quotes too. They both work. And now the compiler is just not going to look at that, and we can move on. So let me check actually what we need to do, because I want to make sure we get everything. All right. All right, cool. So why don't we do a if statement? You guys know what if statements are? Hopefully. Maybe not. It's okay if you don't know. But in programming, a lot of times you're going to be checking if obviously, if a value is some value. Say, I wake up in the morning and if it's sunny outside, I'm going to put on sunglasses. Or if the temperature is beneath 50 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to put on a coat. So it's really useful to check if something is a certain value. Yeah, Liam, did you raise your hand? No. But it's super useful to check if something's a certain value. And in Python, it's really simple to write these if statements. So we'll get rid of this stuff, and we'll just set a value. One more thing. There's another value. There's another variable type. It's called a Boolean, and a Boolean has 2 values. It's either true or false. It's like a 1 or a 0, right? True or false, and then those are the only 2 values it could possibly be. It can't be some crazy in between true and false, and third value. Alright, it's just true or false. And to assign a Boolean value, you would just do bool whatever you want gets true with a capital U, a capital T, sorry. And that would be a Boolean. And for an if statement, you can write if bool, and then the structure of an if statement in Python is a colon, and then it should automatically bump you to the next line. So in Python, you don't have curly braces. You just don't have curly braces. So the way to format your code to make sure that the compiler understands if it's inside the if statement, if it's inside the for loop, if it's inside the function, is to have an indent. So as you can see, it automatically indents for you. So now you know you're inside the body of the if statement. Does that make sense? So inside the body, we can print something like bool is true, right? And obviously this if statement is checking if whatever is here, basically whatever it's testing, is true. So this could be true, like Boolean is true, and if true, obviously it's going to print, it's going to go inside and it's going to print bool is true. It's going to print the string out. But you can have obviously different variables. You can have variables like x gets 5, and you can check if x equals 5. So in this case, you can tell it's different from the gets operator. This is there are two equals signs together, and this is like the equals that you know from math, right? You're just comparing if x, or if x, which is assigned to 5, so in this case this would be 5, equals 5, or equals 5. So does x equal 5, or does 5 equal 5? Obviously yes. So you could print whatever you want. It would go into the if statement. And obviously if we set this to 6, 5 does not equal 6, so it's never going to enter, nothing's going to print out. Yeah, and I'll quickly run through them. So here we go. There's x equals, there's less than. So in this case, it would go greater than. In this case, it wouldn't, because 5 is not greater than 6. Greater than equal to, which is you make sure you get the ordering correct, or it's not gonna work. When you say the words greater than or equal to, it's just the order of that. So that's a simple way to remember: greater than or equal to. So first the greater than sign, then the equal sign. If x is greater than or equal to 6, which is not, doesn't print, you can do less than or equal to also. So you have all of your like algebraic comparisons here, right? One other one is not equal to. One sec. Yeah. So not is a exclamation mark. Let me just check. Yeah, I think we're fine. Okay. A not is an exclamation mark. And you put that in front of equals, and it's just a single equal sign, and it checks if 5 is not equal to 6, which 5 is not equal to 6, because the only thing equal to 6 is 6, obviously. So it's going to print out x equals true. So those are your operators, or your comparisons that you're going to have. So if we go down the list, it's equals, not equals, less than, greater than, or less than or equal to, and then greater than or equal to, right? So those are what, like 6 of them? And that's how you can compare values. And you can either write, like, you can set y equal to 7, right? And then you can compare x to y. So you can start seeing how with these operators we can start doing more complex tasks. We can actually ask the computer to do some like very, very basic calculations to check if something is true or not. And then with that we can start building and building and building. So these are just the basics of Python, basics of programming, like in general, I guess, because Python's super easy for to learn programming, and it's like really readable. So that is an if statement. Now what happens if the if statement is run but it doesn't execute? Like, what happens if this is false, right? So let's just set this to false. False, capital F. So if bool, which in the case is false, this would evaluate to, this would not go through, it would not get into the body of the if statement, right? Because it's false, so it's just not going to go in. You have something called else. So in this case, what happens is this else statement only runs if the if is false. Does that make sense? So we can look, x is, all right, run that. So in this case, bool is false, or I guess this would be bool, but this is false, so it doesn't go into here. It doesn't print x as true. It goes into the else, which checks if x, just automatically, if this is false, it goes into the bool. If this is true, it doesn't run the else, right? Doesn't even check it. I mean, it doesn't even get to that point. It just ends here. X is true. That's your result. Does that make sense to everyone? And like I said, for when you have these like checking elf, if, else, and then there's a thing called else if, which we can get to. It's a lot like an else and also an if. It's an else and if combined, obviously. You have these colons, and that's how you indicate that you are moving into the body. Does that make sense for everyone? Yeah?
Yes.
Alright, excellent. Yeah, super basic stuff. If you already know programming, this is really basic. Let's see. Yeah, why don't we go over lists, because we will eventually be creating a board game or a tic-tac-toe game, right? You can create other board games, but tic-tac-toe is just the easiest board game. And if you want to look at the code I have here, you can see it's just a bunch of if statements. You have not equals, you have equals equals. We can get into the ands, and there should be ors also in here. But it's basically the stuff that I'm going over right now, and with like just adding all this stuff together, you can create a game, and you can just build with this kind of stuff to create whatever you want, which is the beauty of code, right? You can just create whatever you want to your heart's content. So why don't we go over ands? So let's say if x equals 5, and we also want to know if y is equal to 7 for some reason, right? But we don't want to have the difficult way to do this is put an if statement inside of here to check if x equals 5, and then if x equals 7 or y equals 7. That's a pain in the butt. No one wants to do that. So in Python, in Java, what you would do is like and, but that's confusing also. So you just write and, which is really simple. So and y equals 7. And in this case, you would get because these two are equal, you press run and you get into the if statement, the body of the if any of these, so and implies that both have to be true, right? Because and, like, I have to have my coffee and my eggs in the morning. I can't just have one. Like, that's unacceptable, right? Like, we live in a first world country. We have to have both eggs and coffee. Okay? If you don't drink coffee, well, too bad. But we have to have both in case of and. So if I set this to say 6, this would just not work. It would go into the else, right? It would check if both of these are correct. One of them is not correct. So it just doesn't enter the if statement and goes into the else and prints x is false in this case, but you can have it do whatever you want. There's also this thing called or, which is like kind of the opposite of and. You just need one of them to be true, any one of them to be true. And the beauty of Python is you can just keep on stacking these things. or like we can create even a z variable equals 0, right? And then we can check if or z is less than, or let's say greater than -1, right? In Python, you can just keep on writing these, or, and, right? No problemo. In Java, it's a pain in the butt. You would have to redo the whole thing over again, or like, it's just a pain in the butt. Anyways, in Python, really readable. So you have these or, and then, so basically, if you guys are following at home, what has to be correct is any one of these just needs to be correct for this process. Like I can change this to -2. I can change this to 5. And as long as x equals 5, like as long as that is true, which it is, it's gonna run and it's gonna say x is hurrah for some reason, right? That's the beauty of an or. And then you can also do it with and. In this case, it's obviously not going to be correct because not all of these are correct. So all 3 in this case have to be true for it to enter the body of the if statement. So that is if statements. You got else there too. There's something called an else if. So in this case, it's abbreviated L and then if. Oh, that's not what I want to do. L if, so else if. And you can write, say, so how this would execute is if this is not true, it would skip this. It wouldn't print hurrah. It would move into the elif statement, and now the elif statement is checking another condition. So y equals 5, right? Or say we set this to x equals 6. This is not true. X does not equal 6. It equals 5. So it would not go into here, but then it would check if y equals 5. It's kind of like an else, right? Say if this was 5, it wouldn't even enter here. It would never enter the else, because as long as the if is true, it would just print x is hurrah, and that's all you get. And it never enters. But if you change this to 6 and y is also equal to 5, you get x is false. However, obviously if y does not equal 5, you don't get that. You get nothing. And you can chain these. You can keep on going. You do elif, right? You can keep on going with the elifs. You can either add an else in there at the end. That's perfectly fine. It's going to check each condition. It's going to check if this is true, else if this is true, else if this is true, else if this is true. And if none of those are correct, or none of those are true, it's just going to print what's under the else. Does that make sense for everyone?
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
For declaring Boolean variables, can you declare like different Boolean variables under different names, or do you have to use that?
Oh, no. Sorry, this was just a name I made up. It's probably not even a good name because like it's giving me an error. There's probably some specific thing that bool is in Python, so you can set it to whatever you want. Did I eat breakfast? Actually, you know what? Don't use the camel case. In Python, we use underscores. Did I eat breakfast? Right? I'm pretty sure. There's just some formatting things in Java. You use camel case, which is you like uppercase the first letter of each word. Python, yeah, in Python we use underscores. So use underscores. Did I eat breakfast? It's true because I did eat breakfast today. You can also write something like did he eat breakfast or whatever, right? Did or is the sky blue? You can write false for that if you want. Sure, these are both variables. They're kind of long and lengthy, and these aren't great names for variables. When you're making variables, you don't want to have these boring names, x, y, z. Those are terrible names because you have no idea what they represent. They're just some letter, right? This is more descriptive. So if you're making some kind of like, I don't know, some machine learning algorithm that checks if you should do something, if something, you can create did I eat breakfast as one of the variables. Probably wouldn't make any sense, but this is descriptive, right? It makes sense for you guys reading the code. If you can look, if we want to see my code for the Tic-Tac-Toe game, I have a variable called board, which holds the board. There's a variable called count, which is, that's actually not too great of a name, but like row in board, it's each row in the board. Obviously that makes sense. Like if the space is chosen, I set it to false initially. So space, if, I guess it's not the best name, but if space is chosen, in this case it's false. So you want to use descriptive variable names because that's good programming practice, and we always want to have good programming practice. As you can see, there's also a bunch of comments, which is super useful for me right now because I wrote this in the summer. So those are if statements. Man, that took a bit of a while. Does anyone have any questions before we? I think we're gonna move on to for loops and then function declarations, and then we'll call it a day. So does anyone have any questions? Is everyone following along on their IDE?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, excellent, cool. Okay, so yeah, all right. Before we go to for loops and while loops, which are super simple, I'll introduce one other variable type. I was talking about the list earlier, and a list is declared by having these, not curly brackets, just regular brackets. And inside the list, you can put whatever you want. You just need to separate it with a comma. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, it's yelling at me because it wants me to put spaces here. But in this case, I have a list of integers, and the first variable is 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. And Python is cool. You can put like strings in here too, which is perfectly fine. You can either put lists inside of lists, like whatever, right? You can do as much as you want. Python is super flexible. Who cares? So in this case, if you're following at home, you have integers here. What we call stuff with decimal places is a float. So you can have floats in there, that's fine. Just make sure there's a comma. And it's not yelling at me because this is perfectly fine in Java or a Python. And you can print out the list. It's gonna work perfectly fine. So there you go, it prints it out. And that is a list, but it's usually like you're gonna want to keep your lists all one data type. All right, don't like mix all of these together. It's like obviously this looks terrible. It's really confusing. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea what's inside the list. The name list by itself is a terrible name, obviously. So just like follow good practices. Just keep the list one data type. Be it floats, integers, strings, whatever you want. So that is a list. So why don't we just create a simple list of random integers? So have 6, 7, 3, and then 10, right? So there you have a list. Now the question comes to how do you access each variable inside the list? And the answer to that is, in programming, each of these, there's a word I'm looking for, I guess iterables, variables, we'll just call them variables for now, but there's a word, specific term for these, is assigned a value, or is assigned an index. It's specifically called an index. So I'll just create like, I'll just number the indexes for you. In programming, the index always starts with 0. Actually, yeah, like for the most part, for Java and Python, definitely. For JavaScript also, starts with 0. So our number system counts with 1. Like if I have, if I want to count how many kids are in a class, I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to start with 0. That's kind of confusing. So in this case, it starts with 0. So just keep that in mind when you're programming. So this would be the 0. The first element would be index 0. Second element would be index 1. Third element would be index 2, and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind as we move on. So how do we want to access? We want to access, say, the fourth variable in the list, we would write the variable, or let's just print it out, right? List, and then to access a attribute inside, or a variable inside of the list, we would have these brackets also. And then does anyone know what the index for the fourth element would be? I'm gonna put the index in here also. So does anyone know the index? Yeah, it's not 4. Yeah, it's 3. There you go. It's 3. So this is how you, so if 1 2 3 4 3 3, okay, that's kind of confusing. We'll change this to like 6 or something. So I want to print out the fourth variable inside the list. It's a better word for it, I'm not sure, it's escaping me right now. So I'll put index 3 inside, because you count 0 1 2 3 and you get 6, and it prints out 6. It's exactly what we want. So that is how you would figure out, like, that's how you would access the whatever element. Oh, they're called an element, sorry, whatever element in the list. And you can do other stuff, like you can write like -1, and what -1 will do is, there's obviously like nothing back here. This is 0, and if you were looking at a number line, it would just like move on and on and on and on, and there's nothing there. So what -1 does is it goes back and it accesses the last element of the list. So you get 10. So that's -1. You can keep on doing it. -5, or let's say -3, to be less confusing. So this is -1, this is -2, this is -3. Prints out 6, right? There you go. You're not going to be using that too much though. -1's pretty useful for accessing the last one. -2 may be useful. Like, negatives in general are kind of confusing to think about. So, and I believe you can, let me check this out. You can splice them? Yeah. Okay. Right. Sorry. For 3 and 4. Alright. You can put a colon inside. 6. Okay, and you can splice them like this. So yeah, it's kind of confusing. So it starts at the this would be the fourth element, 1 2 0 1 2 3 4, and it continues into the sixth element, which is, no, it stops right before the sixth element, which is this. This is the fifth one, that's right before it. So it goes from 3 until 1 less than 6. So that's how you would do that. That's that's kind of useful. Not right now for what we're doing. So all right, okay, it's 2:49, running out of time. All right, I don't want to make this meeting last too long. So the last thing we'll go over is for loops, and then we'll do function definitions next week. Does that sound cool? Yeah, this took a bit of a while. Actually, we covered a lot of stuff, so it might not, like, this is just the basics. It might not make any sense to you right now. Hopefully it does make some sense, and hopefully I explained it well. But as we start applying it into like actual games and stuff, or whatever else you want to build, it's gonna start making more sense, and it's gonna start clicking. So right now it might be super confusing, and it probably is super confusing the way I'm teaching it. So why don't we do for loops now? So for the standard for loop in Python is what you would call in Java an enhanced for loop, which basically it doesn't have like a counter that goes 1 2 3. It doesn't have an I that's being added up every single time. You can do that still in Python, but it's just not the standard. So I'll show you what the very what most times when you're using a for loop, you're going to be traversing a list, right? That's the whole point of a for loop. You'll be traversing stuff like these. You're going to want to go through the for loop. You're going to say you want to print out every element in this list. You're not going to write print list 0 or 0 and then 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. That's going to take forever, okay? Computers can do stuff like that, all right? They are just, this is what they're best at. They're great at doing repeated repetition, so calculations over and over again. So you want to let the computer do your work. Okay, we're lazy here. So for obviously it's a for loop. So for and you want to have an element here or just a variable. Any variable works. So we'll just call it I. It doesn't have to be I. You can write whatever you want here. It doesn't matter. For I, and then you would write in. If you want to think of it from Java terms, it's kind of like for, you would have a parentheses, and the in would be a colon, and then you would have like list, right? But in Python, that's just your standard for loop. So for I in list, you print I. If you want to print, in this case, each element in the list. So what this is doing is it's assigning a variable I, the first element when the first time it runs through, and then the second element the second time it runs through. Like it's assigning I this value, and then this value, and then this value from inside the list. So it's gonna print out 3, 6, 7, 6, 7, 10. Right? That's what it's doing in this case. So that is like your box standard for loop. It is just printing each element in the list, and if you want to do other stuff, you can do other stuff. You can do like I, or say you want to do I don't know, you can do a bunch of other stuff. You can do like put an if statement inside of here too. Check if like if I equals 3, right? And then you can print I in that case, and you're just gonna get 3s. We only have 1 3, so it prints a 3. And you can do that. Just remember, when you're writing for loops, if statements, you want to indent and then indent. So this if statement is inside the for loop, and this is inside the if statement, which is also inside the for loop. So you indent twice. All right, keep that in mind. There's no curly braces, not to worry about. No funky formatting like that. It's just indents. So keep that in mind. And now if you want to think about it like the box standard for loop inside of Java, you can also do that in Python. You would just use the range function. So this creates a list of iterables basically. And then say you want to print from 1 to 100, right? You would just do I in range 100, and then you would print I. And oh, sorry, missing a colon. Oh, you know what? It starts at 0, of course. So you want to print 99 elements, or 99 of these numbers starting from 0. I'm sorry, this is printing 100 starting from 0, so it's going to get to the highest of 99. If you guys can see that here. So that is kind of like it's kind of like in Java, where you just have a counter that goes up until a certain limit. In Python, you're not going to be using it too often, because most times you're looping through lists. So you do range in this case. Range I in range 100, and then you can print out all the numbers. And if you can also do a bunch of other stuff. So like say I have a variable x gets 0, and then we want to add I to it. So does anyone know what the answer would be? It's like, do quick math, like I don't know, 5 grand or something, right? Print x. So what this would do is starting from 0, it would add 1 and then 2 and then 3 to the variable of x. This is actually wrong. You would just do x gets x plus 1, right? And now we can print out x, and you get 100. Wait, is that correct? No, sorry, that's not what I wanted. Let me think. Yeah, wait, this should be fine. I'm not sure why it's not working.
You wrote 1 instead of I.
Oh, my bad. Right. Okay, of course that makes sense. All right. Yeah, almost 5,000. There you go. Accurate. Yeah, if we started at 1. No, if we started, we can start this at 1 too. I believe you just go like 1. You put a comma here. Someone's texting here. All right. We'll ignore that. Okay, so this starts at 1. No, it doesn't start at 1. Okay, sorry. What does this do? So let's see, range. Anyways, I'm trying to print starting from 1. So instead of starting from 0, it's starting from 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5. But we don't have to worry about that right now.
You do 1 comma 100.
Is it really?
Yeah.
My bad. Okay. No, it's not. That's the same thing.
If you want to include 100, you might want to do 1 and 1.
Oh yeah. If you want to include 100, it's 1 and 1.
Yes, that's correct. Okay,
Yeah, Kevin.
there we go. Yeah, what's up? How was Java?
It was okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you already ended, so.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll call it a day today then. I've actually got to do some like math thing or something for extra credit. Anyways, does anyone have any final questions before we end the meeting? I'll post the meeting recording onto the website, and then we will be starting our Python game. Tic-Tac-Toe game next week. Is that cool? Also, join the Discord so we can actually meet. Join the Discord. If you don't have a computer, you can join on your phone. So, any other questions? Does everyone kind of understand how Python works? Kind of.
Somewhat.
No, not really.
No? Oh my gosh. You're killing us. We were just talking about how Python's better than Java the whole time, basically, which it is.
It's easier to understand.
Yeah, it is easier to understand. It's easier to understand. It's easier to read.
But memory-wise, it's not. Java and like C++, there's so much better.
Okay, who cares? Who cares when you can't understand it, bro? Exactly. All right.
There's so much stuff around it doesn't make sense.
Dude, it doesn't make sense. It just does. It's so confusing. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You guys should learn Java also for comp-sci A. You'll definitely learn that if you take that class. But yeah, you can do some cool stuff with Java, obviously, also. So any other things before we end the meeting? Nothing? All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining our second meeting. Sorry that we couldn't get the link out sooner. Like, yeah, I'm not sure. Mr. Zarko is yeah. I sent him the list of people yesterday, but he just didn't send it out. So we're sorry about that. We're gonna try to get the link out sooner. So just join our Discord, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out the website. We'll be updating it with all the stuff, and
Smash that like button.
yeah, smash that like button, comment down below, share it to all your friends.
Notifications.
Yeah, click that bell for notifications. We'll be continuing working on our Tic-Tac-Toe game, and the next general meeting next month we'll have a guest speaker, so that should be cool. But yeah, see you guys later.